Hi everyone, Timona here from foxreviews.info and welcome to this week's edition of the weekly Forex Algorithm Review. The first pair I'd like to highlight this week in the review is USD, and I'm on the 4-hour chart. At the moment, USD is retesting the 113.38 zone area. Last week in price action, this market retested deeply in that previous low and high area. Let me just zoom out so you can see that, which is this previous low back here. Price tested deeply in this area, and it looked like price was going to continue all the way up to the 115.50 zone area. However, instead, price just tested deeply in this low area, and then the bears took control, pushing price all the way back down to retest the 113.38 zone area. What I'd like to hold in this market this week is that where price is testing, the 113.38 zone area, is once again an area on this market I'd like to mention as a great area on this market to consider a potential bullish opportunity in this area and look for a potential move the upside. Potentially move all the way up to this previous high, looking left back here, and that low, looking left back here as well, all the way up to this high, or potentially move all the way up to the 115.50 zone area to the upside. So overall on USD, what I want to highlight on this market this week is where price is retesting the 113.38 zone area, that this is once again a great area on this market to consider a potential bullish opportunity in this area and look for a potential move the upside from this important zone. Okay, well that's it for that market. Okay, the next pair to highlight is GBUSD, and I'm on the daily chart. Last week in the review on GBUSD, I had the 130.40 zone area as a potential bearish evidence area. And as you can see, when price action came into this zone, it did test deep in this area. So it did look like the market was going to break out and continue further to the upside. But as you can see, when price tested deep in this area, the bears did take control later in the week, and then they pushed price all the way down to where price has recently closed. What I'd like to hold in this market this week is a potential target area to the downside for all those people holding sell trade on this market from the recent test of the 130.40 zone area. And that is the 128.30 zone area. This is a great target area to the downside. And I'd also like to mention that this is not only a great target area to the downside for all those people holding a sell trade from the recent test of the 130.40 zone area, but I'd also like to highlight that the 128.30 zone area is an area on this market where I'm just looking for bullish evidence in this area. And if I see right bullish evidence in this area, like I go over in the Forex training on the website, then potentially looking for a move all the way up, all the way back up to the 130.40 zone area to the upside. So overall on GBUSD, holding the 128.30 zone area as a potential target area to the downside for all those people holding a sell trade on this market, and also holding the 128.30 zone area as an area on this market where I'm interested looking for bullish evidence in this area and a potential with the upside from this important zone. Okay, well that's it for that market. The next pair to highlight is US dollar Swiss, and I'm on the daily chart. Last week in price action, the bears did try to push price to the downside on this market, and this can be seen in these candles with wicks here. However, unfortunately, price just kept pulling back into the $1.24 zone area. And it looked like at one point that the bulls were going to break out of this zone, but as you can see in that latest price action, the bears are still holding this important area. And so what I'd like to highlight is that this is still a great area on this market for all those people that are not in a sell trade on this market already to consider a potential bearish opportunity in this area and look for a potential move to the downside. Potentially move all the way down to this previous high, all the way down to this low, or potentially move all the way down to the 98.30 zone area to the downside. So overall on US dollar Swiss, holding that where price is testing, which is the $1.24 zone area, that this is an area on this market, a great area on this market to consider a potential bearish opportunity in this area and look for a potential move to the downside from this important zone. Okay, well that's it for that market. The next pillar to cover is AUD, and I'm on the daily chart. Last week in price action, AUD's price moved all the way up to test this previous high, where the bears took control and pushed price slightly to the downside. So price is slightly pulling back now, and you can see where price has closed just recently, just here. What I like to hold on this market this week is a potential bearish evidence area on this market, and that is the 73.35 zone area. What I'd like to highlight is that this is an area on this market to the upside, that if price tests this area this week, that this is an area on this market where I'm just looking for bearish evidence in this area. And if you see right bearish evidence in this area, then potentially looking for a move all the way down to this previous high and low, or potentially looking for a move all the way down to the 70.47 zone area to the downside. So overall on AUD/USD, highlighting that if price moves a little bit higher to the upside and tests the 73.35 zone area this week or in the near future, that this is an area on this market where I'm just looking for bearish evidence in this area and a potential with the downside from this important zone. Okay, well that's it for that market. Okay, next pair to cover is New Zealand USD, and on the daily chart, New Zealand dollar overall was a strong currency last week. And for all those people who are wondering why it was so strong, this was because during the week, a better than forecast, or better than expected employment figure came out for New Zealand. And this affected price. Unemployment went down, and the employment figure was just a much better than expected number than most economists were expecting. And it caused a lot of traders to buy the market, and in the case of New Zealand USD, it caused price to break above and close above the 66.94 zone area. And now the market's done this, what I'd like to highlight is the 66.94 zone area, and you could call it the 67 zone area, as price is within 6 pips of the 67 price number. That this is an area on this market where I'm just looking for bullish evidence in this area, and if you see right bullish evidence in this area, then potentially looking for a move all the way up to this pullback high, or potentially a move all the way up to the 68.27 zone area to the upside. So overall on this market, highlighting that if price pulls back and tests the 66.94 zone area, that this is an area on this market where I'm just looking for bullish evidence and a potential with the upside from this important area. Okay, well that's it for that market. The next pillar to cover is AUD CAD, and I'm on the daily chart on this market. On this market, what I'd like to highlight is two important areas. The first area I'd like to highlight is the more preferred area on this market, and the more preferred area because at the moment this market is in an uptrend, and that is the 94.34 zone area. This is an area that if price pulls back and tests this area this week or in the near future, that this is an area on this market where I'm just looking for bullish evidence in this area. And if you see right bullish evidence in this area, then potentially looking for a move all the way up to the 95.78 zone area to the upside. And if we look left at the 94.34 zone area, you can see it's an area that acts as really strong resistance, looking left back here, and support back here in the past, looking left. The other zone I'd like to highlight on this market is the 95.78 zone area. And in the case of this area, this is an area to the upside, and price is quite close to it at the moment, where I'm just looking for bearish evidence in this area. And if you see right bearish evidence in this area, like I go over in the Forex training on the website, then potentially looking for a move all the way down to the 94.34 zone area to the downside. So overall on AUD CAD, holding the 94.34 zone area as a potential bullish evidence area, and holding the 95.78 zone area as a potential bearish evidence area on this market. Okay, well that's it for that market. The next pillar to cover is New Zealand CAD, and I'm on the daily chart. On New Zealand CAD this week, what I'd like to highlight is two important areas. However, before I get into what two areas I want to mention how price moved on this market last week. Last week, New Zealand CAD broke above the 86.90 zone area, and price moved all the way up from that area to the 88.61 zone area. So New Zealand CAD was another strong moving New Zealand market. And like I mentioned on New Zealand USD, this was because of that better than expected employment figure coming out last week. Now, as for the zones I want to mention on this market this week, what I'd like to highlight is the zone where price is testing right now, which is the 88.61 zone area, bearing in mind that it is a counter trend zone area on this market. This is an area on this market, a great area on this market to consider a potential bearish opportunity in this area and look for a potential move to the downside. Potentially move all the way down to the 86.90 zone area to the downside. Now the 86.90 zone area is also another area I'd like to mention on this market. And in the case of the 86.90 zone area, this is the more preferred area on this market, as at the moment this market is in an uptrend. And the 86.90 zone area is a great pullback area in the trend to look for potential continuation to the upside. And if price tests this area this week or in the near future, what I'd like to highlight is that this is an area on this market where I'm just looking for bullish evidence in this area. And if you see right bullish evidence in this area, then potentially looking for a move all the way up to the 88.61 zone area to the upside. So overall on New Zealand CAD, holding the 88.61 zone area where price is testing right now, holding this area as a potential bearish evidence area on this market, and also holding the 86.90 zone area as a potential bullish evidence area on this market. And also want to mention that the 86.90 zone area is the more preferred area on this market, like I mentioned before, as this market is in an uptrend at the moment. The next market I'd like to cover in this week's review is gold, and I'm on the daily chart. Recently in price action, gold tested the 12.39 zone area, which is a potential bearish area on this market. And as you can see, when price came into this zone, the bears took control, pushing price to the downside. They pushed price all the way down on that recent test here, all the way down to nearly testing the 12.07 zone area. Then price pulled back to nearly retesting the 12.39 zone area, and then the bears took control again, pushing price all the way down, and then late last week testing the 12.07 zone area, which is that previous high area, looking left back here. What I'd like to hold in this market this week is that where price is testing is a great target area on this market, a great potential target area for all those people holding a sell trade on this market from the recent test of the 12.39 zone area. And also want to highlight the 12.07 zone area as an area on this market where I'm just looking for bullish evidence in this area. And if you see right bullish evidence in this area, then potentially looking for a move all the way up, all the way back up to the 12.39 zone area to the upside. So overall on gold, holding that where price is just starting to test, which is the 12.07 zone area, which is this previous high area looking left, that this is an area on this market where I'm just looking for bullish evidence and a potential move to the upside from this important area. And I also will note that at the moment, gold is in an uptrend, and the 12.07 zone area is a great area on this market in the trend to look for potential continuation to the upside. Potential continuation all the way up to at least the 12.39 zone area to the upside. Okay, well that's it for that market, and that's it for me for this week's edition of the review. Thanks for watching. If you appreciate this video today, please do not forget to click the like button to show your support. Every like is appreciated, and it's a great way of letting me know you want more videos like this on a regular basis. If you have a comment on this week's edition of the review, comment below this video. Also, if you haven't checked out the Forex training on the website, such as the Engulfing Trader, the 5-day training series, the Counseling training series, or the newer release training, which is called the Zone Trader training series, where you can find out all about this Forex training by clicking on the links below this video. Okay, well I hope you all have a great trading week and happy trading.